Internet.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I'm going to ask for your patience as we wait just a moment, since one of our council members just stepped down and said she'd be right back. So glad to see you all here this evening. Yeah. And here she is now. So, good evening, everyone. I want to call this meeting of the Village of Royal Palm Beach Council to order. Tonight is, of course, the opportunity for us to entertain a really special event, and we'll do that in just a moment. This is, of course, a council regular meeting. It is July the 16th, 2026, and it is Thursday at 6:30 p.m., and so we're delighted to have you all here this evening. If you would, stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Please have your seats. And again, welcome this evening. We're delighted to see everybody here. The other time that I've seen a crowd this size usually has to do with when you bring some of the students in for activities of one sort or another. So we found another way to attract a crowd in a very positive sense. So we're delighted to have you all here this evening as part of Royal Palm Beach's celebration of America 250 anniversary. We're especially pleased to recognize 13 fully engaged Royal Palm Beach residents who represent the spirit of community service. They engage through volunteerism and participation in all of our activities, many of our activities that help make the village the special place that it is. Each was selected to receive one of 13 America 250 flags that proudly flew along Royal Palm Beach Boulevard next to Veterans Park for several weeks leading up to our fantastic 4th of July celebration. Anybody show up at the 4th of July celebration? All right, good. All right. The number of flags, 13, is especially meaningful because it represents the original 13 colonies, from which, of course, we birthed this nation. These recipients symbolize the many volunteers, the many participants, mentors, neighbors, and community builders who involved in relentless or strengthening our Royal Palm Beach every single day of the week in one way or another. While only 13 flags can be awarded, they represent thousands of engaged residents who make our village that exceptional place, a real American hometown. So at this time, it's my pleasure to invite our Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Mark Pulowski, to come forward and lead us through the recognition of this year's America 250 flag recipients. Mark?
All right, thank you, Mayor. At this time, so what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce each one of the 13. Come on up. Brandon's going to be my assistant. He's going to hand you the flag. It comes with the pole. All right, so then we're going to line everybody up. We're going to take a nice picture. Family and friends can take a picture too. We'll get everybody staged up here. So I'm going to introduce each one of you. Come on up. So the first group of recipients we wanted to get somebody from each of our provider groups. So we have a youth soccer, baseball, and softball player. So representing the youth soccer program is Carson Washington. Representing youth baseball is Hudson Bickerstaff. I'm not sure if Hudson checked in. Representing youth softball is Elena Amador. The next three we picked, and again, the other part that the mayor also didn't mention, so I determined the criteria as far as what groups of people we would have, and then it was randomly selected. So there was no like, oh, this was an all-star, or this is a perfect attendance, or this one did the most volunteer hours. So it was random within certain segments of our community. So the next group is people from the rec center programs. So a youth basketball player, Ethan Nieves. A youth volleyball player, Misha Rodriguez. dance program, Madison Johns. All right, the next three, when these next three come up, we'll have you stand behind the youth that we have up here. These three people represent, the village has 3 advisory boards: the Education Advisory Board, the Recreation Advisory Board, and the Planning and Zoning Board. So those are all volunteers from the community that help our government function and provide service in the best possible way to our community. So from the Education Advisory Board, the recipient is Paula Wilson. Recreation Advisory Board is Mike Larimore. And from the Planning and Zoning Board is Kara Derry. Another big piece of our participation is our seniors in our senior program. So we have 2 recipients in relative to our senior program. So this is just a participant that comes to our meal lunch program that we have on a daily basis each week at the Rec Center or the Cultural Center, and that is Karen Labarga. Members and volunteers, which is critical to our senior programs, is Barbara Patterson. Last 2 actually came from Commons Park, so they were both involved with our July 4th celebration. The first one is related, she was actually at one time a youth participant in our golf program there, and now as a young college student during the summer, she is also a teacher coaching golf at Commons Park, and that is Annika Kaledo. And the final 13th person that was randomly selected from the names we collected during the celebration down there is Linda Taylor. You're the tallest, so you got to get out of the middle.
Come to the edge.
I think we've got enough pictures for everybody, right? Huh? All right. Congratulations. Thank you all for what you do. Enjoy your flags. Fly them proudly. They're pretty neat. I mean, the idea that they've been flying on Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, I think is huge. It really is. So once again, thank you all for what you do. We really appreciate that. All right, Mark, team, thank you so much for what you've done. Made that celebration special, as it should be, for the 250th, that's for sure. So thank you all so much for what you've done. I appreciate that. All right, we have an honored guest here this evening. Well, actually, you're all honored guests. State Representative Ann Gerwig, who represents Florida House 93, is here to actually give us an update this evening, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come and spend it with us. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and council members and staff. I appreciate your audience tonight. I'm going to give you an update on the bills that we got passed from that I sponsored first, and then we can talk about the rest of the things that happened. I know there are a lot of questions about this session, so, and I'm here to, any I can't answer, I brought my workbook. So anyways, we're prepared to have those conversations. But my favorite one is Paula still here? Good, she's still here. So my favorite bill is HB 561. We do not get to pick the numbers, by the way. They're randomly assigned to our bills, but I was very happy that I got 561 because I could remember it as our area code. So it's an education preparation bill, and basically what spurred this were members of our community that had difficulties they had taught for a while, they were certified teachers, they had stepped out of teaching and let their certification lapse. They came back and wanted to, most of them were older and were able to live on a teacher's salary after all, when they couldn't when they were younger, and they had a lot more bills to pay. And they came back and said, it is so hard to get your certification back. It's a moving target and it's very expensive. So we took a look at it. We worked with staff up there, and we made some changes. If you have already been a certified teacher in the state of Florida, you do not have to take your subject matter exam again. That's a $150 charge every time you take it. If you're certified in several subject matters, you would have to pay for each one, so it could be a significant cost. Talking to teachers and people in the field, they said that really doesn't have anything to do with your teaching. That's something it's a thing you have to do. You have to prove that you were paying attention, but your curriculum is really what's guiding you in the classroom. So we talked to staff up in Tallahassee, and they said that was okay. You could waive that. They're still required to have 120 hours of current training, and they can get that for no charge through the David C. Enkin Center for Teacher Excellence out of the University of South Florida. And all of those things report directly to the Department of Education, and you don't have a moving target up there to deal with to try to get back in a classroom. My main focus was to make it cost effective, because I can't make teaching pay twice as much as it does, and it's worth twice as much as they get paid. So I can't do that, but we can make it easier, and we could get rid of the cost. So very happy to get that over the finish line. I'm going to leave some copies of my legislative update, but it says waiting for the governor to sign. He already signed all my bills. So also the other one we did was a clinical laboratory personnel bill. You have to be a 4-year degreed scientist to read your clinical labs. It's the testing you have done at the doctor's office. They send it out. And Florida had its own standard for clinical lab workers, and it was different from the federal standard. And some things were more strict, some things were less strict, but it didn't jive. So we didn't have people in Florida who were able to fill this job. So I wasn't wanting to lower the standards. My main concern about running a bill is not making something worse. Sometimes we're running bills that correct something that happened before, but this time I didn't want to lower the standards. They said, well, right now your labs are being sent to Kentucky or Tennessee, and they're being read there and then sent back by someone who meets the federal standard. So they sold me on that one right away. We got that one through, and now we meet the same standard as the federal standard, so we can get jobs in Florida. You can get your lab results quicker by not having to go out of state and having them read. So that was another really good one. HB 4033, actually Palm Beach County used the HRS standards for childcare, at-home childcare ratios, how many children could be in a home, how many adults had to be supervising, and it was a different standard, again, than 64 other counties used, which is the children's, I'm going to get it wrong, the Department of Children and Families has a different set of standards that 64 other counties used for calculating the number of children in at-home daycare, and the amount of adults have to be based on the ages. So we are actually more compliant, and we're able to do a little bit more childcare at home and make it easier for working families. The other thing that is not on here, and my name isn't even on it, you remember last year we made the school sales tax holiday permanent, and it was the month of August. Every year now, you're not going to pay sales tax for school supplies that you buy during August. Well, last year, my friends were like, wait a minute, school starts August 9th or August 11th or August 6th. I checked the numbers throughout the state, and that didn't give the moms and the families time to take advantage of that sales tax holiday. So I didn't know if I had to run a bill, because I'm still a freshman. You're a freshman for 2 years, so I'm still a freshman. I didn't know if I had to run a bill to fix that. But I talked to the budget chair, and he said, no, you don't, and you're not the first person that brought it up. So we can just move it, but everyone kind of got busy. Everyone got busy with legislation, and things were rolling, and I remembered, wait a minute, I want to get that moved. So I went and talked to the chair on the floor, which is the best time to talk to people in Tallahassee. They're cornered. They can't leave the floor, so you can catch them. I said, hey, Chair Duggan, how do we do that? He said, oh, no, we're not adding days. I said, remember, we're not adding days. I just want to shift it. So it's now July 20th to August 20th, which gives the families more time to take advantage of that holiday, the sales tax holiday. And I honestly didn't know when I suggested those dates, but it actually did add 1 day. So it added 1 day because of the way it wrapped around. And so I got you 1 extra day and a lot more time for the families that want to take advantage of that sales tax holiday. So other things that we co-sponsored are on the back. I want to mention the electric bikes, that the e-bike bill, the governor vetoed that bill. And honestly, that was the first thing I signed on to co-sponsor with Rep. Benaroche. And when you're up there and things are going really, really fast, you, of course, know your bill inside and out. You know your bill. But I didn't realize that this one did have some faults in it, and I think the governor probably made the right choice. But what we didn't have was cooperation on the front side. If he didn't like something about the bill, we should have had that cooperation on the front side. So we did not get the e-bike bill passed because it didn't sunset. We were creating a committee that didn't sunset, and he had a problem with that, which if everybody worked better together, we could have fixed that earlier, but it didn't happen. So we're still going to be working on that next year. I'll tell you what, you guys are probably having the same problem we are. The e-bikes, the e-scooters, the kids are getting hurt. They're getting serious head injuries, broken arms and legs, all kinds of things are happening when you have them on the road, particularly with cars. So this needs a lot more regulation than what we have, and I think the state is the best place to do it so that we don't create little pockets of, disregard for things. So that I think will come back and we'll work on it again. And on the back it does mention my school supply holiday. Also, domestic violence, there were 2 bills that went through that made things safer for women in a domestic violence situation. One of them was Peggy Gossett-Simons, and she created an alert system that they can call, and the person on the other end, they can say code words. I don't know those words. You shouldn't know them. If you knew them, then the bad people would know them also. But they've created an alert system that will help women and children who are in bad situations, and men, I'll just be serious, it does happen, to get their message across that they're in danger, and not endangering themselves further doing it. Also, Rep. Tendrich ran a really good one, domestic violence. It basically made stronger penalties for people who were arrested for domestic violence. It also gave more of a benefit to people who had to have an apartment tomorrow because they couldn't be at home anymore. It doubled the amount of cash that they were being assisted at that point. So it did really good work. Yeah, we're very happy with that one. It did the entire House. I'll tell you what happened with that one. Everyone loved that bill. It was a great bill. And anyone who hadn't co-signed, they opened the board. And if you have not co-signed on that bill, co-sponsored, not co-signed, that's for loans, okay. If you had not co-sponsored that bill, they opened it. Every single member on the floor co-sponsored that bill. So it's nice to see unity. We don't see it all the time, but it's good when you see it, and that's one of those things that we felt really strongly about. I'm going to go ahead and take questions because I think you guys might have questions.
Okay, and any council member wish to ask Representative Gerwig any questions? All right, Councilwoman Samuels.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Representative, for being here and for representing us, a portion of us, because we're lucky to have three of you. One question that I did ask your colleague, because it is something that's very concerning, is whether there's the alleviation of property taxes, whether home ownership is affordable or not. I'm a component of that. I believe it's the homeowner's insurance that's an issue. So last time I was in Tallahassee, we went and we fought for that, as to more opportunities for businesses to come in, more of a competition, so that it would help lower the taxes or the property insurance. What is going on with that? Is there going to be some relief? I know it's supposed to be a mild hurricane season, but it always seems as though they say it's a little bit more hectic than usual, and then everything goes up. And then we've been lucky, but what do you foresee, and how to help our residents with that?
So I want to go back to the affordability issue, because affordability is the issue. Everyone's going to be talking about it. It's a major problem. My family moved here in 1969, and at that time, one of the reasons they moved here was how affordable it was. You could buy a house. I think they paid $7,000 for that house. And I said, Mom, you had a mortgage for $7,000? And she said, yeah, that was a lot of money in 1969. So we've seen things change. And the affordability issue is across the board here. It's not just gas in our car. It's not just food in the stores. It's everything has become unaffordable, particularly housing. And we do hear about affordability and taxes. We do hear about that. I will tell you, when it comes to the property tax amendment, I'm letting everyone, they get to vote on that themselves. They can make that decision. But I'll tell you, I understand what you're saying. That's not really the thing that's so expensive, but I pay $10,400 in property taxes on my property. My other neighbor on the other side bought it much later. All this is public records. You can pull up anyone's on Palm Beach County's property appraiser website. My other neighbor on the other side, a little bit bigger house, bought it in the downturn in 2007. They pay $16,500. The other neighbor, and these are large lot neighbors. This is an acre in Wellington, so I can't make that affordable. I'll tell you that. But anyways, the other neighbor on the other side just built that house. And the first year you don't get your homestead because your price, it has to get set. $23,500, and they had portability. They had portability from another house in Wellington that they moved to that house. $23,500. How are we expecting our kids? I mean, because when you buy your first house, that's where you get started in this game of how this stuff works. So it is a problem. It's not the whole problem. And you're right, the more common complaint is my homeowner's insurance that I have to have because I have a mortgage, and now I have to have homeowner's insurance, and it just goes up and up. We are seeing the insurance rates are dropping, particularly on car insurance. We're seeing that more directly. But 2 years ago in Tallahassee, there was a push by the trial lawyers to undo the tort reform that was put in place 3 years ago. And it is starting to stabilize the market. We have come down on the scams. We got rid of, this happened before I got there. I liked it, but I had no part in it. They got rid of the assignment of benefits, where someone would knock on your door and say, just sign over everything and I'll deal with your insurance company. I'll take them to court and we'll all make out on this. And you can get a free roof and maybe free other things too. So that happened. That got taken away. We set some tort reform in place that is starting to affect the market. We don't want Citizens to expand. You want to talk about who Citizens is. Who is it? It's all of us. And we want to get off of that program. We'd like for private industry to take that back over. We did it because people were unable to get insurance. So the state developed that, but it's not inexpensive either. They're all expensive. But I was on Facebook the other day, and I probably shouldn't get on Facebook anymore, but I do it. The mayor knows I can't help myself. My fingers just move. And someone said, we need to cap the rates. We need to cap the insurance rates that they can charge us for our homeowners insurance. Well, if we do that, we're going to lose more of the companies in the market. We really want to encourage more competition to bring it down. And that's not going to do that at all. We're going to have more people walking out, and we're going to end up with everybody on Citizens. So we're trying to manage that, but I'll tell you, we're still seeing scams. The scams are not like they were before. If we want to, as a people group, decide that our maintenance should be performed by our insurance company, then we can always expect those costs to go up. If your roof is damaged and needs to be repaired, you need to do it. And if it's based on a storm, there may be an obligation from the insurance company to pay for a portion of it. But you can't just sit and wait for a storm so that you can get a roof, because there was damage. And we're seeing roofers, and I noticed this knocking on doors, and I thought, what's going on here? And one of the residents told me, he said they went to every door, that roofing company, and they said, I can get you a free roof because there was a storm here on a certain day, and your home was here and that roof was there that day. You don't have damage from it, but because you were here that day and that roof was here, I can get you a free roof from your insurance company. So we're seeing that same thing happening, which is not a sustainable model. It's just not. So we're doing what we can up there. We are making them responsible for what they are responsible for, which is what you paid for. If they're not, and the Office of Insurance Oversight is a pretty complex system, but if you find something in there that's not working, we can act on your behalf, particularly if you're in our district, which I know for you guys is a small portion. But if you need help with those services, we can intervene. Our office does a lot of intervention, mostly on services that are provided by the state, like unemployment services or driver's license issues, those kinds of things. You can call your state rep and they will have their district aide work with that state agency and get to the bottom of it. I can't tell you I can fix it, because sometimes we can't fix it. There was a liability or there was something. They don't always tell us the whole story either. When we get residents who ask for help, we only hear half the story. But we will track it down and we will get that agency to do what they're supposed to do for you. And I know all the other aides and reps in the area do the same services. So that's something I want to make sure you guys know.
Let me go to Councilman Velenis.
Hi, yeah, just to follow up on Councilwoman Samios' question or comments. I do think the problem is the insurance, and I wanted to know what the legislature is doing about that. I understand and appreciate, the inequity you pointed out with the homeowners, but that's basically due to the Save Our Homes Amendment, which was to protect people, like back in, I think it was the 90s, where, I've got a $100,000 hovel in Miami that I'm getting taxed at, and all of a sudden, because of all the redevelopment in Miami, now it's worth $1 million, and that tax is going up to what your taxable value is, and people were being taxed out of their homes. So, right, and that's when the 3% was done. So at least now, the inequities we know that walking in, as opposed to, someone who had their house for 37 years, and now all of a sudden, because the market has gone crazy, they're getting kicked out of their house. So that's a different situation, but the situation that really bugs me, I know we have the tort reform, yet what I've seen out of tort reform is my rate has gone up every year. It was $5,000 last year. My property tax was $3,000. And I also noticed that, we're doing away with fixed deductibles. So instead of, not only do you have a deductible, but they're saying, okay, you've got a roof. Now your roof deductible is $9,000, $10,000. So I'm paying $5,000 a year to, I don't know what the price of a new house is. The last time, 15 to 20, I got one. I don't know what they're up to now, but I'm at least $10,000, $15,000 out of pocket. So I'm buying this insurance that costs this much money. And I'm really, and that's, as you said, that's the big thing. If you get hit with a storm, big thing. So I'm paying more for it and I'm getting less in value because they're making the deductible higher, because I can't, they stopped writing my $1,000 deductible every year, and I don't know is that something the legislature is actually looking into? I know it'll vary between policies and everything, but it seems...
You can set that. I believe you can set that, and there may be another company that would still provide that, but it's going to be more expensive.
Oh, yeah,
if you want $1,000, I personally have a $100,000 deductible on my home. I have a $100,000 deductible on my homeowner's insurance. And so that's why my roof is 24, 25 years old, and they don't care, because if something happens to
it's
it,
coming out of
it's
your
on me,
pocket.
not them. But I'll tell you, most people aren't able to do that. I understand that completely. But I was going to go bare, and then I thought, what about liability? What about liability? Someone gets hurt on my property. People are not going to write you a policy for liability without you carrying something else. And now all my cars and my house is with State Farm. So now I'm paying $4,600 a year for something I will never get anything out of, because
Unless your house gets completely blown away.
I could shoot a missile through my house and I couldn't do $100,000 worth of damage. I mean, I couldn't. I built the place. I'll rebuild it if I have to. But these are, when we purchase that insurance, we are selling our risk. You guys all know this. We're selling our risk to someone else. And this risk has gone crazy with these storms that have impacted South Florida. It has gone crazy. So I advise people to take as much risk as you can. As you can. You know what you're comfortable with. I was comfortable with that, and I thought, gosh, maybe there's a way we could let everyone do that. Maybe they could create an escrow account with that much money in it, and now you could take that deductible on your house if you chose it, and your mortgage company would have to be okay with that, because the money's sitting in that bank account that you're getting interest on. I mean, we need to get creative.
Right, and that would be helpful, I think, for consumers like me and everybody else to have more options instead of okay, this is basically what it is. Like you said, if you have a mortgage, you're kind of stuck with, what, and if you can't get it, then you're dumped into new insurance, which we don't want, because that's us. I mean, we don't want to be
It's very expensive. It's not a cheap
putting
option.
ourselves on that risk, right?
Right.
But those were just my comments. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're always looking for ways to make it more efficient, to make things work better. That's what we're trying to do up there, but I'll tell you, a lot of times when we try, we just make it worse. And I do want to talk about the property tax amendment, because I talked about how much I pay, and you talked about how much your tax obligation is. My mom lives in Hamilton County. Hamilton County is the poorest county in the state. She moved there on purpose because she had her retirement nest egg and she wanted to live as good as she could. So she found a beautiful home on a dirt road where they have no services. She pays $460 a year in property taxes. She is in a fiscally constrained county. There are, I can look it up, but I think, if I remember correctly, it's 29 fiscally, Ray's nodding, so good, I got it right, 29 fiscally constrained counties. So when this discussion started and the governor was saying, well, we need to have a trust fund that we can make those counties whole, the ones who cannot, because there is not a home. If there's a home in Hamilton County that's worth more than $250,000, I don't know about it, and neither does my mom. So they don't have an industry like we have here. I mean, we can do things, and we can add service fees that aren't ad valorem. They're non-ad valorem. There's things Palm Beach County can do, and we are the ones with the worst burden on this, but I don't want us to take a bigger burden of these 29 fiscally constrained counties. I did not like the idea of a trust fund where you and I and everybody in these counties that have high taxes and lots of money are going to have to pay for everyone who didn't, because she moved there on purpose. She moved there because she knew she wasn't getting a lot of services. She knew it wasn't going to be expensive, and that's what she chose. And she's not complaining about her $460 a year. She's not. She doesn't get garbage pickup. She doesn't get water or sewer. She's on her own pretty much, and that's what she wanted. And that's the problem I had with all of this. It doesn't take into account level of service issues, and it doesn't take into account government efficiency. If you look at the second part of the bill, the first part was, the actual up to $250,000 will eventually have if you're homesteaded, no property taxes except for schools. We took schools out because we didn't know another way to provide for the schools. But the other way to provide for everything else on there is to charge someone else. Well, what about Hamilton County and 28 other counties where there is no one else? What's going to happen? they're going to have to put service fees on. Like in Wellington, I pay Acme fees that are non-ad valorem. Garbage pickup is non-ad valorem. So those fees can be added, and I could not save any money whatsoever, because you could add everything on there that's ad valorem and make them non-ad valorem, and it wouldn't violate this. So as we work on this, if it passes, I don't know, because there's a lot of discussion about it. Could we have done a better job? I think so. Yeah, I know. The mayor's going, yes, you could have.
Yeah, I think so.
If they had just listened to me a little bit, maybe the mayor, and put me on that committee even, might have done a little better. But in the meantime, this is what it is. And implementing language will have to be constructed after. If this passes, the entire legislature with our governor will be called to another special session to write the implementing language that goes with this. So the devil is in these details, and I'm here to tell you that.
Or perhaps the help is in the detail. We'll see what comes out of that.
It might
Vice
be-
Mayor?
It might be help. I doubt it. But it could happen.
You could do this all evening long, but Vice Mayor, you do it last.
I'll be quick. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for coming to speak to us and bring us up to date. And yeah, I said it could have been done better. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater and then run out to grab it. But anyway, regardless of all that, my concern is, I work with domestic violence victims, so I'm extremely excited about the bill that she got passed. But most of those victims, as well as my senior citizens, they rent.
Exactly.
I'm worried about them.
And that's going to go up. That's commercial
And,
property.
Yes, I remember when I was in school, and I'm back in school now, and they're still saying that you're only supposed to spend 30 to 35% of your income on rent and utilities. I'm trying to figure out what world they're in, because if a two-bedroom is $2,200 a month, that is actually going to take some of my seniors 100% of their income. So I just don't know, and I don't see, and maybe you see. Do you see a fix and end? Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, maybe with the Realtors Association or the Landlord Association, maybe
I think
coming
there
up
will
with
be
some
people
ideas?
opposing, there will be people opposing this amendment, and I won't be one of them. I'm letting the voters decide. The reason we voted for this was so that the voters could decide, but I want them to think about it, and I'm telling them all those other things. You could still pay for this service in a different way, in a less equitable way, because when I pay for surface water for Acme, I pay per unit. And if I have 10 acres, they consider that 10 units. But if I have a two-bedroom condo that I own, that's 1 unit. Or if I have 1 acre, that's 1 unit. It has to go over an acre to get to more than 1 unit. So per unit is the most inequitable way to tax a community for services. But it might be the service point. It may be what we have to do for fire rescue. I mean, right now we pay based on the MSTU, and you guys pay the same, I think we do. That one, that's not allowed by this, but your level of service can't go down. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to capture that? There's service fees that could be added per unit. And those are, in my opinion, always the least equitable way to charge people for services. So here it is. The voters get to decide, and that's what we voted for. I had a man the other night who said to me, "You didn't do what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to get rid of all of it. And you left the school on there. Why did you leave the school on there?" I said, "Because that's the bill that was proposed, and I didn't get to propose a bill." Okay, so that's the bill that was proposed. The governor's office got our budget on Friday, and he called the special session for the following Monday. He had 2 of my bills he hadn't signed yet, and he had all of my appropriations on his desk. So we said what we should do, which is represent our community and say, "Yes, sir."
I got it. Councilwoman Brodesky?
Representative Gerwig, thank you for being here. I appreciate your work in Tallahassee and really for our constituents here. In this whole conversation about property taxes, and I'm sure that there were many long hours spoken in all kinds of ways, but can you share any insights into the thinking of replacing property tax? Because things still cost money. And so has there been any other introduction or even mention of ways that the legislature is looking at other ways to fund what would be the replacement?
Right. So originally, when this was proposed by the governor, he said just up the sales tax. So, and cover it that way, because services have to be paid. You want services. You don't live in a place you don't want any services, or you'd move to Hamilton County. But in the meantime, they have to be paid. So we looked at a sales tax. If we were to charge a sales tax that would make whole, the problem here is the making whole thing. If we're going to make this number whole that we think is inflated, I will tell you, the state of Florida has lowered the budget every year for 4 years straight. Not lowered the rate of increase, not held the millage, lowered the dang total for 4 years straight. And last year it was $3.8 billion lower. This year it was almost $1 billion lower. So since I've been there, it's about $4.6 billion lower than the year before. And the state has set that example and said to you, tighten your belt, okay? Tighten your belt. We tightened our belt. You tighten your belt. Our residents are asking for a break. But we looked at the sales tax. If we were going to replace it with that number, because we're just going to go back to the number that's being collected now, it would have been a 16% sales tax in the state of Florida. At that point, nobody north of I-4 would ever buy a car in the state of Florida, or a refrigerator, or any major purchase. We'd be knocking out the economy. So that didn't get, I mean, at some point living down here, you might say it's not worth my travel up there, but honestly, it would have really caused some major problems in our economy. So we didn't like that option, and we were tasked again with doing something. And the actual bill that we passed in our regular session took it all away, all of it, and on homesteaded property. So it would have done what my other friend wanted, which was defund the schools too, and let them charge someone else. But the problem is when there's no one else. And my problem is if we're going to talk about a governor who believes in the free market, a governor who believes in a republic that has freedom, and that the free state of Florida, why am I going to send money to Hamilton County because they don't have enough up there? That to me is the most socialistic thing that our governor could propose. So I was really glad that we did not do that portion. I was really looking for what's going to hurt us less along this way. And the assumption is, I'll tell you, the assumption is that we're all like us. There's an Airbnb, there's a hotel, there's a business, you've got people who are paying. Even if you're renting apartments, you're making money, that's a business, that's a commercial property. They're going to cover it. That's just not the case in every county. And it's not the case, and not necessarily a fair case, like you're talking about apartments going up. It's not necessarily a fair case. So I think I'm asking residents to really dig into this and take a look at it and make their decision. And we can deal with it. And if you really need to be made whole, if you read it, it says you can still charge that money in a different way.
Mr. Liggins.
I have one question. I might have heard you incorrectly. You mentioned fire rescue and being protected from the 250 exemption in the bill. Are they? They're part of that, because I know our fire rescue is 85% funded with property taxes, so I didn't see them exempted out of the bill.
They're not. What the bill said was that their level of service has to be maintained. So you're still going to have to gather that money somewhere. But it's not necessarily going to be ad valorem taxes.
Okay.
I know. There's a lot of implementing language that can get very complicated on this one. And it's not an easy subject, but affordability is something that we're all trying to work towards. And, you know, that's what we're working towards. But I don't believe that they were allowed to stay on the first 250. The only thing that we exempted in this bill was the schools.
Right.
So everything else, going to have to find a way to get to that level of service. But we did say public safety had to be maintained at the same level. We just didn't tell you how you're going to pay for it.
I do know in the state of Florida, you can do fire fees, and obviously a lot of people will be looking at that. I don't believe you can do fees for EMS, though, which is, so maybe that needs to be looked at in the future.
And I had an argument with someone who said that should all be, I mean, I've had an argument with a lot of people. One of them was, it should all be covered by fees. If I need to go to the hospital, I said, but you cannot build infrastructure based on how many times you're going to need to go to the hospital or need EMS care on the way. Like, you have to be prepared for that. And you can't do that if I'm only paying for it when I need it. Like point of service sale for EMS, how are you going to pay for all those trained personnel with whole blood in that ambulance and all the things that we expect in Palm Beach County, because we have very high level of service. So, and we moved here knowing it wasn't going to be the cheapest place to live. I told you where the cheapest place was, but I don't want anyone to leave. We want you to be able to stay here. So we're looking for those ways that can make it all work. And I'll do my best, but.
Thank you, Representative Gerwig. We know you will. You are part of us. At least you were definitely part of us for a long time, and so you know what we're dealing with. We look forward to your help and trying to figure a path through this thing that really works for everybody. I sense that's exactly what you're after. So thank you very much for all you did. Spending this time with us was great. You could tell there was plenty of energy around trying to figure this out together. So thank you again for your service. We really appreciate that.
And I'm going to leave some copies for you guys. I think there's one for everyone, but if you need any more, just let my office know. And again, reach out if your constituents have any issues, particularly in our district. If they're not in our district, we sometimes help them anyways. But we have to call the other rep who's in that district and make sure it's okay with them. But we've been known to all help each other in that regard, so.
Service that you provide. The intervention is a big deal. It is. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. So,
thank you for letting me take over your meeting. I appreciate it.
No,
Have a good evening.
Definitely worth the time. Thank you very much. Okay, before we move to reports, I will ask Madam Clerk to show that all members of the council are present.
Yes, Mayor.
And with that done, we will start with reports with Councilwoman Samios.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for sticking around. So I did attend a Florida League of Cities Zoom that they had, and it was understanding municipal property taxes, so very similar to what Representative Gerwig was talking about. So if you go to flcities.com, you can see the report on there. They do break it down slide by slide so you can understand a little bit more of what it entails. The Palm Beach County Food Bank is partnering with Florida's Summer Break Spot program. So there are more than 35 sites providing 2 free meals for children 18 and under. So you can go to their website, summerbreakspot.org, for more information on those. We do have tomorrow a food truck and concert. It's the Free Birds over at Commons Park from 7 to 9. And we do have a senior health fair on Wednesday the 29th from 9:30 to 11:30. Palm Beach County, the Sheriff's Office, PBSO, is hiring, and they're also hiring not only other positions, but school crossing guards as well. So if you go to pbso.org, you can see that information on there, and they tell you their hourly rate that they have. Something I'd like to bring up to the council, we voted on this a while ago, and it is temporary non-commercial signs, and it is in our code that we have it, that it's village-owned property duration, so they're very specific dates that are listed. The problem is that the election dates are not consistent. So if we can look at, we can talk about it right now, but basically if there's an, all right, okay, all right, well then I'll bring it up, is that we have an election. There's March, August, and November, and my proposal is that signage is out 30 days prior to the election day on those 3 months. If you want to make it an agenda item instead of a discussion real quick, that's fine. And that completes my report.
Councilman Flatters.
Yeah, I guess one report is I'd like to commend Mark, the Sheriff's Office, Fire Rescue. We had a fabulous 4th of July ceremony. Everything from my perspective went smoothly. I mean, we got a little bit of rain, but other than that, it cleared out, and by all accounts, it was the biggest attendance we've ever had. So it's good to be a victim of our own success and to celebrate the 250th anniversary. And then I think before our next meeting, we do have an election next month on the 18th. I'd encourage everyone to get out. I know they're usually low turnout elections, but we do have important things up. Not only this year is it primaries, but we also have judicial elections and school board elections, which are important. And I don't know the exact dates, but I think there's even early voting available for this election as well. So, okay. But the 18th, make sure, if you don't do early voting or mail-in voting, please get out there on the 18th and be heard. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Early voting starts the 8th. I'm excited about that. I agree with Councilman Valentis about the 4th of July. Staff did an outstanding job. I'm still telling everybody about the dueling pianos because I'd never heard of that before in my entire life. And it was absolutely wonderful, dueling pianos, like chicken wars. But no, it was really good. It really was. I enjoyed every last bit of it. And the food, of course, was awesome. I love fireworks. We had the best fireworks in the county. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm not going to call the name of the municipality, but their little fireworks only lasted 7 minutes. God bless their little heart. They did try. Ours lasted almost 30. So I am so proud to live here in the village of Raw Palm Beach. I did my Florida League of Cities ethics training yesterday from 10 a.m. to 3:30 with an hour and a half for lunch. So I got that out of the way. It was via Zoom. And then we've got that meeting coming up in Hollywood next month. Looking forward to those trainings as well. And that, along with making my visits to the area businesses, we did lose one business over by Duffy's. The councilwoman from Westlake, she closed her vitamin business, the IV business. She wasn't getting the traffic because it's not near a gym or near enough to the hospital. So she and I'll talk about that next week. And that's my report.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you out there. So I participated in the Fast Fly-In as a representative of the Palm Beach County League of Cities. The Florida League of Cities holds the Fast Fly-In, which is an opportunity for us to go talk to our electeds up in DC. And why do we do this? To advocate for things to bring them back here. So we talked about keeping FEMA intact as an agency, as well as improving its efficiency, making sure that payments get out to people in need faster than what was happening. We advocated for simplifying local government grants and altering the criteria so that small or municipalities like ours can take advantage of more opportunities for federal funding. We also advocated for long-term reauthorization of the National Flood Insurance Program. This flood insurance program was reauthorized once a year, and always a question as to was the federal government going to support us all if we're flooded? So that was really important. We also were focused on cities and counties' infrastructure and transportation projects and getting support for that. And lastly, preserving tax-exempt status of municipal bonds. We met with several representatives, as well as both Senators Moody and Senator Scott. Interestingly enough, funny story, we asked Senator Scott about the property, someone asked about the property tax, and he said, well, it's not a federal issue. He said, and he couldn't do anything about it. He did mention that he didn't know how cities were going to pay for infrastructure and critical services if property tax gets eliminated. And he said, I just want to make sure that you all understand that didn't happen under my watch as the governor of Florida. We heard from Senator Moody and other representatives and sharing our stories about experiences with FEMA and some of the other issues that I mentioned. And what was key to our visit is every representative we saw said, we need to hear your stories. We need to have your representatives telling the stories. We need to hear your residents tell those stories. Those are really important in making these legislative policies that helped and protect our residents. So they appreciated us going to their offices and taking the time to talk with them. And that's all I wanted to report on tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Let's try this. Can you hear me now? All right, great. So one of the important things is to communicate with everybody, to inform all of the citizens about the property tax amendment that's being proposed and what the consequences might very well be of that. Now, we did a little bit of that at the budget workshop last week, but the league can see the need to do that, to do that in a very consolidated and consistent fashion. So we have the Florida League of Cities, which provides us with a good toolbox of messages and a way to present those messages. But we know that we need to tailor it to our community because each one of the counties, each one of the cities is different. But with some guidelines, which is what was proposed, and some outreach ideas, including things like social media, there was a suggestion that we actually put together a public panel discussion with some experts who are objective but knowledgeable, and then reach out to the community in a variety of ways. And we've already started to do that. We need to do more. So we'll have that final discussion at the next board meeting, which is this coming Wednesday, as a matter of fact. And hopefully we'll see the league actually having the kind of impact that it should have to support the cities and to inform the public. So it was a good meeting. I had a brief meeting with Palm-Tran. There's a lot of new leadership over there, not the least of which is the Palm Beach County Assistant Administrator, who has responsibility for Palm-Tran and other things, Jonathan Brown. He was on that phone call, and we talked a good bit about the fixed route that we used to have here in Royal Palm Beach, Route 52. And on a pilot program, we accepted the notion that we would at least try to see if this bus link approach, which allows you to basically use an Uber kind of a connection to access transportation from your location to a transit hub, a bus stop, with the idea that you would then get on mass transportation. So that made some sense. We said, we'll look at it. Well, as it turns out, it didn't work as well as we had hoped. And so Palm-Tran is now open to taking a look at what they had talked about as a hybrid, which would keep the bus link and then do a slimmed down version of a fixed route through here, focusing mostly on the peak hours. Kind of makes sense. Early stages probably won't actually develop firmly until the beginning of next year. So if you know anybody who's interested in, who wants that fixed route back, please make sure that you communicate that to us. You can reach out to us by contact the council, or you can bump into us in Publix, however you want to do it. But we want to hear more about what that need is so that we can make sure it gets properly addressed. I also attended the Palm Beach County Metropolitan Planning Organization today. It was a good meeting. Actually, a lot of the conversation, once again, took place around the countywide master transportation plan. I'll talk more about that. No, I won't. I'll leave it alone just to say that we spent a good half an hour talking about the need to move that whole planning program along. It's a holistic approach of looking at our needs, both today and in the future, for transportation, moving people from where they are to where they need to go and back again. And so the idea is there are multiple choices that are out there, but optimum mixes of those choices, the things that work best, are unique to areas, to regions, and that type of stuff. Well, this plan, when it's completed, is supposed to lay out optimum mix options for each of the municipalities to consider implementing, and also for the county. Doing it collaboratively, a whole new world. It's moving in a really good direction. So if we accomplish nothing other than learning how to collaborate on something that cuts through the entire county, it will be a success. I think we're going to get more than that out of it. One of the other things we did get was a update on the MPO and its accomplishments during this past year. I provided each one of the council members a copy of the annual report. I think there are a couple of extras that we might have. This organization has a responsibility, which is one of 59 MPOs in the country. It's established by the federal government. It's funded by the federal government. It's funded by state funds. Those funds are used to build roads, to build transportation, to create the optimum mix that we talk about here across all of these different regions. It totals in a 5-year period of time $3 billion. So there's a lot of money involved, and that organization allocates those funds in accordance with requirements that they get from us as members of that board, and also through various other mechanisms to communicate with the MPO. We've been beneficiaries of funds for our bike and pedestrian paths that we've had here. Actually, there's a bridge, a pedestrian bridge, if you will, combined with a regular road bridge that crosses the M1 Canal over by Crestwood Middle School, and we receive funds to support that from them, as well as studies and other initiatives. So the MPO really does help us out a lot. And one last thing, Treasure Coast Regional Planning, talking about planning. Council is going to be meeting here tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning, I'll get it right. Tomorrow morning, and the reason they're coming here is because they're homeless. No, they're not really. Actually, they usually meet at the Indian River State College and in Stewart. And this particular summer, they are retrofitting the entire campus. So when they offered the opportunity, I said, why don't you come on out? These are people who represent and are elected officials from 4 counties. And so we'll get some exposure in a large way. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good. And I invite all of the council members to come and join us tomorrow morning. It will start at 9 a.m. So with that said, I will move on to petitions. Do we have any petitions to come before the council tonight?
No, Mayor.
All right, anyone online who offer a petition?
No, Mayor.
In the council chamber? Not seeing any. I will then close the floor to petitions, and we will now turn to statements from the public. I have one comment card. It is Commissioner DeAndre Poole. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I just wanted to come and say hello and to just offer my congratulations on a very successful 4th of July celebration. My wife and I had an opportunity to come and be a part of the celebration here in the village. I also wanted to give you some updates on the Port of Palm Beach. We've had some significant accomplishments this past year, and I just want to share with you because the port is also, the village is also part of the Port of Palm Beach District as well. Just a couple things I think are important to note that the port achieved a record financial performance. We secured over $13 million in state funding. And just to remind everyone, we do not receive public dollars from Palm Beach County. So the port survives off of the fees charged to port tenants, dockage and wharfage, and other fees associated with the containers. We also completed a $36 million port infrastructure project, development project, and that is something to really celebrate and be proud of. What that project did is it redesigned and automated our main gate It expanded the truck lanes that reduced waiting times up to 50%. It added radiation monitors, enhanced security, and rehabbed some 7 miles of rail. And some of this, the rail was over 100 years, about 100 years old. And we also, I think this is significant as well, is we have been very successful in maintaining our seamless cargo and cruise operations, reduced costs, and we've increased revenue and achieved a very clean and unmodified audit. And so, and we're, again, just to remind everyone, I'll be doing this regularly each year, coming here and let you all know what's going on at your port. We are the 4th busiest in the state of Florida. Out of the 14 deep water ports, we're the 4th busiest. We are the 18th busiest in the entire country, in the entire United States, here at the Port of Palm Beach. And some things we hope to have in the future is an additional cruise ship or two to call the Port of Palm Beach home. So again, thank you so very much, and look forward to seeing you all again in the future.
Great. Stick around for a second, if you would, Commissioner. We've got a couple of questions for you. Councilwoman Samuels.
Actually, 2 things. So one, before that, it was something that you had said earlier. So thank you very much for the great news about PalmTran, because I've been a huge advocate of bringing Route 52 back. So it's good to know that there's an option that it could be in full force. So to quote Andy Dufresne, I will send them 2 letters a week now instead of just 1. And thank you very much, Commissioner Poole, for being here. You kind of touched on my question a little bit, because one of it has to do with the cruise ship. So since they've expanded into Fort Lauderdale, and into Tampa and Miami, what does that look for the port? I know it's primarily shipping that we have instead of recreational, but what does that look like? I know you did some renovations to the port area, but if they were to close, do you have the insight on others that would take their place, or what are we doing to keep them?
Well, I would say that our current cruise line in Margaritaville, they, as a cruise line, are expanding. The challenge we have at the port is, of course, our channel is only so wide, and we can accommodate ships that are only so long. So there has to be a certain amount of a length that our pilots would allow ships to come in. I would say we're in good shape if we expand our cruise terminal, which we are planning to do. Expand our cruise terminal, also a parking garage. And that would also increase our luggage capacity. That would make us highly attractive to some top-tier cruise lines. So I do think in the next probably year or two, there'll be a very serious conversation about recruiting, or attracting rather, a larger vessel that can accommodate that turn with the Asiopods. That makes it a lot more manageable.
And I understand the
Excuse
depth.
me to be so technical.
Oh, no, that's okay, because I also understand the depth of the space that there is as well. And a follow-up question, because I know the rates can keep increasing for parking there as well. So when you're talking about that, are you thinking of putting a parking structure on the lot that you have there, or to help alleviate some of that expense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did increase our parking by $1 recently, and then we've added some VIP parking as well. And but the parking, I believe, is about $20, about 40 now. Okay, for the 2 days. And what we did cut down on, what we found were there were people that wanted to be able to park their own car, which makes it a lot more efficient. Before you would pull up and valet, and that became an expensive process. So, but it's working out. But with the garage, that would be a game changer. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to say, I'm good to see you, glad you're here. I think you're doing a great job. I'm really excited about hearing about the possibility of the parking garage. My oldest brother is Charles Spencer.
Okay, all right.
AFL-CIO vice
Yes,
president,
yes.
former ILA president. So closest I came to the port was when I was a little girl. He took me with him, and I got in trouble because I started running all over the port in Jacksonville. He thought I was going to get killed. But so anytime I get the opportunity to come to the port, to watch a ship come in, I'm excited. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Then I got friends that always go out on the cruises, so, maybe getting larger and including more ships, that would be a great thing. I may actually get on one day.
Well, we're working on it. It's on our radar.
Thank you so much for what you're doing.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner's on the MPO with me also. How did I do with the report?
Excellent job. Excellent.
You're saying that because you're in these chambers. I know that. I appreciate that, though. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Mr.
Thanks for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Poole.
Okay, so next on the agenda is a round of applause.
Yes.
There you go. All right. We have a consent agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Yes, Mayor, I will. Thank you. Number one, approval of the minutes of the council regular meeting of June 18th, 2026. And two, approval of a special events permit application by Fairfax Village HOA to conduct a block party on Reston Lane on Saturday, August 8th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Well, that's about the shortest consent agenda I think we've ever had. So, all right, thank you very much. With that read, does anyone care to pull the item off the consent agenda? Not seeing anyone wishing to do so, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. And a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the regular agenda, which starts with, as you might expect, regular agenda item number 1. It is ordinance 90-1069, and I believe it is a second reading. I will turn to our attorney and ask her to please read the ordinance by title.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, it's ordinance number 1069, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 15, Landscaping and Vegetation Management at Section 15-144, Artificial Turf, in order to comply with recent changes to state law, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 15, Landscaping and Vegetation Management, shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. As you said, this is second reading. There was no changes from first reading to this version, so I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Okay, great. So let me go on to public comment. Do we have any comment cards? Any hands raised?
No.
All right. Anyone in the chamber care to comment on this agenda item? Not seeing any. I will then close the floor to public comment, and we'll move to the council. Any questions or comments from any member of the council? Not seeing any, then I will look for a motion and a second.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Yeah, we will try to use the touch screens, but I know.
So
Yeah,
we
that's,
are using them for
Yes.
that? I thought we said at the end of last
Yeah.
one, we said no.
I thought you said no on the second.
I thought,
okay. So we do not need to use the touch screen for the motion in the second. How's that?
Okay.
All right, we'll just clean that up right now. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. So I have a motion and a second for regular agenda item number 1. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we move on to the second agenda item, which is the adoption of a tentative millage rate. I'm going to turn to the village manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So staff is recommending an operating millage rate of 2.15 for the 26-27 fiscal year, and it does reflect a 17.77% increase over the rollback rate of 1.8 and 1.8. I don't know the exact numbers. The recommended millage rate and the tentative budget will be reviewed during the public hearing scheduled for September 10th at 6:30 and September 17th at 6:30 at Village Council Chambers. Note that based on the recent changes to state law and current trim calculations, a unanimous vote of the Village Council will be required to adopt an operating millage rate of 2.15 at the September budget hearings. Why is staff recommending a millage rate of 2.15? The 2.5 millage rate funds the operating budget each of the next 10 years with a surplus, funds a $20 million new capital projects over the next 5 years, and the replacement capital the next 10 years at $2.6 million a year. At these funding levels, $38 million is needed from reserves, leaving a reserve at the end of the 10-year financial planning period of 31%. Our minimum is 25%. The current millage rate of 1.92 funds the operating budget each of the 10 years with a deficit in the $20 million of new capital that's within our 5-year budget, and replacement capital at $2.6 million a year, using $53 million of reserve monies, leaving a reserve at the end of the 10-year financial period, planning period of less than 1%. And that is the reason we're doing it. But more so, funding the operating deficit and the replacement capital deficit when reserves fall below 25%, which they're predicted to do within the 10-year period. If we needed to fund them the same year, a required 30% and 20% back-to-back tax increase would be needed in 2034 and 2035 to avoid debt. The current 2.15 is 12% over the current rate of 1.92. Every Florida Homeowners Association and condominium fund a renewal and replacement account to pay for replacement capital. Our capital replacement budget of $2.6 million a year, with a total one-time replacement cost of $82 million and a replacement frequency anywhere between 5 years for our cameras to 50 years. Some of our roofs are the longest things lasting. We do not have any building replacements within the capital replacement, because we figured if we funded the replacement capital, then unless there was a need for a new building, and if there was a significant change of level of service, we would have to find funding somewhere else. So the $82 million is the resurfacing, it's the air conditioners, it's the roofs, it's the play sets, it's all of our facilities that we have out there in the village. The 1.92 rate does not accommodate replacement capital within the 10-year period. And last comment to make, by August 20th, the regular council meeting, we should know for sure if the homestead exemption referendum will be on the November ballot. There are several lawsuits that are contested, I think 3 that are contesting some language and some other things about it, and they're supposed to be resolved before our meeting on August 20th, and then we would know for sure whether it's going to be on the ballot or not. If the 2.15 is approved tonight, we could place an item on the agenda to provide final council direction on the rate and any unresolved budget decisions before the September hearings. Tonight, in asking you to go to 2.15, it clearly doesn't set it at 2.15. That is just the maximum rate you will be allowed to go to. Any rate under that could still be approved at any one of at the public hearings, and a rate between rollback and 2.0082 would need a majority, a supermajority, and anything over the 2.0082 would need unanimous. Rollback would only need a majority. And that concludes my comments.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Oh, okay, there we go. Somebody would. Councilwoman Samios.
I know I'm going to have more as we go along, but we've had this conversation before, is that right now at the 1.92, we are currently using what we call a rate stabilization fund, which is really taking money from our reserves to balance our budget. And that's been going on for over 10 years. 8 years? 10 years.
We have not needed to use the rate stabilization in the last several years.
For capital or for operations?
For operations. The rate stabilization firm was to balance the operating budget, and we have not needed to use that in a very long time. We do use, as directed by council in 2015, the reserves for all capital replacement and new capital, and we've done that. We've done that, and we're doing that.
So according to what you just said now, then, if the homestead exemption does not pass, we can then continue to operate at the 1.92 and not have to worry about being at a deficit? No, not at all. So you still need the...
No, the 1.92 funds the operating with a $7.4 million deficit
Right.
over the next 10 years. So no, it does not work over the next 10 years. It has worked up to now. Last year was the last year that we received any ARPA funds to pay for operating. We used a portion of our ARPA funds over the last 4 years to pay for the additional police that we put on. This year, we do not have access to those funds, so our operating budget is in a deficit. Now, the good news is the deficit was much less than what we originally predicted. It was only $276,000, and we lost $2.5 million of revenue from our general fund. So we're definitely on a positive trend, but what we look at over the next 10 years, it's a $7.4 million deficit in the operating with the 1.92. The bigger issue, though, really is the capital replacement. The capital replacement is our most significant expense. We have three expenses: operating, new capital, and capital replacement. New capital is easy to deal with. If you don't have the money, you don't do it. Operating, you can lower services, raise fees, try to create a larger tax base, however that's done. And but where we're at right now is we have not funded our capital replacement with revenues, new revenues, in the last 20 years. In 2006, when we sold the utility, we made a conscious decision to use those reserves to pay for all capital replacement and capital new, and keep our rate low. And that's how we've kept it one of the lowest rates in all of Palm Beach County. And the logic was that the residents that gave us that utility and paid for that utility and put us in a position to be able to sell that utility for $70 million should be the ones that benefit from the sale of that utility, instead of just putting it in a fund and never spending it. So we consciously said, let's use it for capital, and we have rebuilt every park in the village. We bought and built Commons Park. We're now, our biggest project is expanding the recreation center and rebuilding that at the tune of $20 million. And we've done all that with the half-cent sales tax, ARPA, and the utility sale proceeds. But that money we're projecting it to be gone. We knew it wasn't going to last forever. I got to admit, in 2015, when we did the 10-year study, we didn't know about half-cent sales tax. We didn't know about ARPA. We thought the money would run out this year in 2026. We were fortunate it didn't, because we had those others, and we sold the sewer plant property for $35 million. And with those funds, we put them all into our capital, and we kept our number of employees the same or less, and we've kept our operating cost to a minimum. To actually, over the last, from last 20 years, our operating budget average is 1.4% increase per year. So we've held the cost, and we used the additional funds received from half-cent sales tax, ARPA, and utility sale proceeds to build new capital throughout the entire village.
So then,
But those days are I see those days are gone, and now I think we really need to start funding capital replacement. I mean, we have capital replacement, like I said, $82 million. Obviously, cameras are cheap. They're 5-year replacements. They're $4,000. But the road resurfacing, we just did 2 major road resurfacing, so 45% of our road between this one and the one we did a few years ago, 45% of our roads. And we have more resurfacing roads coming up, and we think it's time it's time to start funding capital replacement, and that's why we're recommending 2.15.
1.92, that covers our operations.
No, it's a $276,000 deficit this year,
Right.
And it's a cumulative $7.4 million deficit over the next 10 years.
And that does not even include replacement
No,
operations
replacement
yet.
capital was $2.6 million, or $26 million over the 10-year period. It's completely funded out of reserves, and the new capital is $20 million in our 5-year capital budget, and that's completely funded with reserves. So we see those approved by council, and we're moving forward with those projects. And what we don't want to happen is to fund all 3 of those deficits in the same year. If we have to do that all in the same year, we're looking at a 30% increase, followed the next year with a 20% increase to maintain our minimum 25% reserves. If we do it today, we can get through the 10-year period with sufficient reserves over 25%. It's calculated to be 31%. So that is why we're recommending this. We think it smooths the spending, doesn't shock the system in affordability, and that's what we're recommending.
Thank you.
Okay, before I go to other members of the council, I'll apologize to the public for not having asked for public comment. So I'll open the floor to public comment on this agenda item. If you would like to make a comment, come on up. Tell us your name, please, and your address. Welcome.
Michael Axelberg, Fontana Place, Royal Palm Beach. We talked briefly about tightening our belts. And the one thing I hear is that we're going to spend $20 million on rebuilding the rec center. What I ask is, I don't use the rec center, so I actually don't know. Is this money that has to be spent, or is it something that we just think, well, you know what, maybe we should? Because if we're supposed to be tightening our belts, perhaps it's something that we shouldn't be looking at and doing something that absolutely doesn't have to be done. The other thing, the young lady that was over here was talking about, and by the way, I haven't made up my mind if I'm for this legislation or not. I really came here, and I'm going to continue to come here and get myself educated on the ramifications on the homestead. I really don't know what the ramifications are, and I think it's everybody's responsibility to come here and study our budget line item by line item and understand exactly what the ramifications are. So I don't envy any of you. You are in a position where this is looking like a lose-lose proposition, and you got to try to turn it into a win-win proposition. Not an easy task. So my hat's off to you for trying to tackle this. Not an easy thing to do, and I would not want to be in your shoes right now. With that said, I thought it was kind of silly to talk about somebody's home paying $23,000 in property taxes when obviously that's a $10 million plus house. I don't think that's any of us can really relate to that. It's a brand new house. I believe our tax rate is somewhere in Wellington around 2% property taxes, so that equates to about a $10 million home. So I don't think $23,000 is a lot of money to pay when your house is worth $10 million. I think what's important, and to get off the subject a little bit, and that I wanted to discuss earlier, was the insurance issue, because I think that's a bigger problem. Insurance fraud in this state. Well, first of all, this state is the most litigious state in the United States. It's crazy. You have public adjusters going out there soliciting business. You have people calling up people on the phone. I know, I get this call once a week. We can replace your windows. We can replace your roof free of charge. And I've told them on the phone, do you mind if I tape record this? Because what you're doing is you're advocating for insurance fraud. And then all of a sudden I hear click. So I think the word needs to get out there to people to realize you're committing a felony when you do something like that. And these people need to be turned in, because that's the biggest reason that we pay what we pay in homeowners, because of all the fraud that's going on in this state. I saw it in my own community where somebody replaced a roof that was 20-something years of age. She shouldn't have gotten anything. The roof was old, and she got a brand new roof because she hired a public adjuster for $55,000. It's absurd. I see my time is up.
Thank you for your comment.
I'll go.
Would you like to answer the question about the need for the rec center expansion, or were you looking to respond to something else?
More than that.
Okay. Well, have at it.
I would be glad to sit down with you after August 2nd. I won't be available between now and then, and show you, and I can do it in a fairly quick order, show you what our budget looks like and where the money is being spent and how the money is being spent and how we've done it over the last several years, and enlighten you on that. And by the way, 2% of 1 million is the 20,000. But I would be more than glad to sit down with you for half an hour, and go over our system and help you get started on where you need to look for the information.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your interest, and please keep showing up. We do appreciate that. Any other comments from the public comments, questions? If not, I will close the floor to public comment, and we will go back to the council for any further questions, comments. I have Councilwoman Brodusky.
Thank you. I want to ask our village manager to talk about what it means, this 2.15, in terms of hard dollars for our residents.
The best way to do that is give you an example of my home. Because because of the Save Our Homes, everybody pays a different amount. And that does get kind of confusing. And I think that causes a lot of problems in our property taxes, because people don't think it's fair that have moved here recently and know their neighbors pay a fraction of what they pay. Save Our Homes gives me a $248,000 exemption because I've been in the home for over 20 years. And then if this passes, I'll get another $250,000, and then I will basically pay no local taxes. But just the example of my taxes, my house is valued at $528,000. It's assessed at $284,000, mainly because of the $248,000 reduction for Save Our Homes, which limited me to 3% or cost of living, whichever is less. And as Councilman Valenta says earlier, that was so people were not priced out of their homes. I think it's really the best way to solve that. With an exemption of $50,000 that we currently have, it gives me a taxable value of $233,000. A total tax is owed for me is $4,400 a year. So you had mentioned the 2%, and you're right. Palm Beach County is anywhere from, depending on what taxing district you're in, from 17% or 1.7% to 2%. In Royal Palm Beach, we're 1.8%. Of that 1.9%, Royal Palm Beach is 1.92, which is 10% of your total tax bill. So the part that I pay to Royal Palm Beach is $447.97 a year. That's what I currently pay out of the $4,406 that's paid to all of the 14 taxing agencies that are on my bill. The difference between 1.92 and the 2.15 for me is going to be $53.66 a year, or $4.47 a month. And that's, excuse me?
Okay, so we're not going to have a conversation back and forth, but yes, that's great. Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for your interest, and keep coming and keep asking questions, because what we're trying to do is inform folks so that they can make good decisions going forward on, of course, the budget as we actually have to adopt it in September, and then the property tax amendment as it eventually unfolds, as we get more and more insight, as the village manager just said a moment ago. I'm going to go to each council member and see where they are right now, their thoughts on the 2.15 that's currently being proposed by the staff. I start with Councilwoman Brodusky.
Sure. So thank you, Ray, for giving that concrete example. I think it's really helpful. I am in favor of the 2.15 because there's three ways to look at this, right? We can take, as a resident, I'd prefer to have an extra $50 or $60 in my tax bill for the year versus the opposite. And what are the opposites? One, we start to erode services. So we have to make up the $275,000. So we're going to have to figure out what services we're going to take away. I'm not willing to take any away. The flip side of that is, well, maybe we don't take any away, but now we have to charge more. So now where do we charge? We charge for senior services. We can charge for youth services. We can charge for higher fees. We can charge for our events. We can do away with our events. And I know that during the Citizen Summit, for both 2025 and 2026, we asked residents, what is your choice? 71% of the residents at the Citizen Summit in 2025 said, we like our services, we don't want them cut, we are willing to take the tax increase. 2026, earlier this year, we asked the same question. Of that group, 91% of our residents say, we like our services. We are willing to pay the extra $50, $60 for the year. No one was willing to get rid of those services. And so based on those residents who I heard from, that's why I'm sticking with the 2.15.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too heard our residents say the same thing, and the residents that I've been talking to regarding the millage rate have said the same thing. They don't want to give up their services. That's why they live here. That's why they're happy. That's why their children are happy. And I don't want to lose any services either. And I love the way we run our village. I'm also a very staunch advocate for proactivity instead of reactivity. I don't want to get to a point where we have to shock the system and go to 30%. I would rather, if I had my way, definitely pay more now over a set amount of time for there to be no shock. So I, too, am definitely in favor for the 2.15 millage rate. I agree with Councilwoman Radesky 100%.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Valentes?
Well, I think I pretty much said what my position was last time. I do agree with what Councilwoman Radesky said, almost all of it, except for the last couple years at the Citizen Summit. And I was shocked and I was pleased when the residents said, hey, you know, we're willing to step up and pay for our services, and that's a great thing. But what they didn't have, and the information this year, there's something on the ballot amendment, and that could fundamentally change the way your government is going to be able to pay for itself. And that is my concern. I'm all about paying for our services, all about living within our means, but, you know, come November, we don't know what our means are going to be, and our options could be severely limited. So my thought is, and most of the people I talked to after this, because I was the only one who was not in agreement, is, am I missing something here? And most of the people I talked with who have better financial acumen than I do said, no, it does make sense. There's nothing that's stopping us from doing everything we're requesting now next year if this doesn't pass. But if it does pass, we're going to have some even more serious discussions about not only what level of services we've talked about, are we going to make this up by fees? How are we going to do this? I don't want to be in a situation where our business owners, our people with investment properties, and all of our renters, they're going to end up bearing, in my opinion, a much more substantial part of the services here where, you know, as, you know, Ray's example, I think under my example, when it goes up to 250, I'm not going to be paying, because I bought my house in 2001, and I don't think it's much, if at all, over $250,000 value, and I'm sure I'm not an outlier on that. So I'm concerned about the amendment, and for that reason, I just want to keep it at 1.92 for at least the next year.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Samuels?
So I've not had the pleasure of working for large government. So unlike some of my fellow council members that may feel that there's a excess of funds coming in because you just raise taxes, and then that's how we fund things. So I look at it as I cannot go to my employer and say, I overspent, give me more money. And then that's what I struggle with. So one of the things that we've talked about before, Representative Gerwig brought it up, we've talked about it on the national level, is everybody is asking to cut back and figure out what they can do to save money before we turn around and say, let's raise taxes. I would like to thank Councilwoman Radusky and Councilman Valentes for actually looking at their budget and coming up and saying, you know what, these are some things that we can cut so that we can save our residents money. So I'm hoping that the rest of the council will then look at that, because I have a very difficult time saying to come to each of you and go, we're going to raise your property taxes, but we are not doing anything to cut our spending. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want to say something again, or
Yeah, I'm curious.
go ahead, Councilwoman Radusky?
Thank you, thank you. I'm curious, Councilwoman Samios, the budget that she mentioned is our council budget, and I did reduce my expenditures, but I'm wondering where else you might suggest village staff cuts to make up the $275,000.
I actually.
Okay, wait a minute. We're not going to get into a back and forth like this. Let me suggest this. Let's finish this up. And I point to what the village manager mentioned about another opportunity to have this kind of a conversation, which would be August 20th as an agenda item, actually on that, where we could, as a matter of fact, if we wanted to ask the staff to bring us a budget along with reserves, along with fees, along with whatever other adjustments would go along with 1.92 mils. So we could actually see the two budgets kind of next to each other, be better informed, and then we can have this further discussion at that time. I really think that'd be a more complete conversation than for us to begin to work on individual line items, especially since the focus right now is supposed to be on deciding what the maximum millage rate is for the remainder of our budget process. And so what I'd like to say about that is to remind everybody that that's what we're voting on tonight, the maximum millage rate, which can be reduced, which is one of the reasons why I think it makes eminently good sense to actually have another conversation in depth about our budget. We don't have to do another workshop. We have a meeting coming up. The meeting is timed well. It's far enough in advance so that any significant additional direction that we might feel that we needed to give as a council to the staff, they would have enough time to actually address what we're telling them and come up with the revisions so we could get a look at that. The next two meetings after August 20th, of course, really critical meetings. That's when we're going to be voting not only on the final millage rate, but we will also be voting on the budget itself. And I think, again, with August 20th council meeting and an agenda item that allows us to do a budget update, be a good opportunity for us to have this conversation. So with that said, and unless someone else has a strong need to comment at this point, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I did look at my budget and I did offer some suggestions.
As did we all. Okay, so moving right along, what I would like to say is pretty much what I just said. I was going to remind everybody that we're not deciding on the budget tonight. We're not even deciding on the final millage rate tonight. By deciding on a millage rate of 2.15, we allow ourselves the flexibility to reduce it if we believe that that is the right thing to do. Why wait? Well, there's more information coming, and we just heard the village manager talk about we'll have more insight into the likelihood of this budget amendment, this constitutional amendment coming up about property taxes come next month. And with that, as well as, I don't know about the rest of you all, but I'm going to talk to folks. I talked to them a lot about this. I've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of input. And while the two meetings that we had, the citizen summits, were very informative and actually almost shockingly supportive, quite frankly, what that says to me is I need to keep talking to more people to get a better sense of where everybody is on this. And so between now and August 20th, it gives us a full month to be able to get out there in the community and find out where our constituents, where the residents really stand with regard to this, and also the opportunities to provide more information. So hopefully it'll be an informed kind of a feedback. The one other thing I want to mention is I see two of the members of a homeowners association that I used to be a member of many, many years ago. And what the village manager was describing should sound familiar to you all. This is a reserve study-based program we're talking about. And I think for most of us, we recognize it works. It really does work. But it requires a steady input, replenishment of that reserve over time. And that's pretty much what the village manager is talking about. We have not had that because we've had the luxury of a very large reserve. And now that not only is that reserve coming to an end, and it's great that it didn't end in 2026 because of other things that actually occurred, the bottom line is it is coming to an end. And a prudent thing for us to do, a responsible thing for us to do, is to step up and try to figure out how do we begin to replenish a reserve fund so that we can do the repair and replace of large-scale items. We have the majority of the buildings, the major capital investments, pretty well taken care of, hopefully for another 20, 25 years. And we are in a position where this makes perfectly good sense to me. So I share that with everyone, and now I will look for a motion. Okay. Councilwoman Rodowski.
Motion to approve regular agenda item number 2.
Vice Mayor? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries 3-2. And I thank you all very much for the effort, the discussion, the input, and for the public folks showing up. We really appreciate that. You all have a great evening. Are there any other matters to come before the council? Not seeing any. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you again.